Huntington, West Virginia is lucky enough to have the beautiful Keith-Albee Theater. It dates to the vaudeville days, and when built, was the largest theater of its kind. The interior of the theater is decorated with enormous plaster sculptures and gold leaf. During a windstorm, the original 84-year-old copper-clad sign partially collapsed and had to be removed for public safety.
2 months ago, the symbol of Huntington came down. 80 years of lighting 4th Avenue took a toll on it.
The removal drew a large crowd, with bystanders taking light bulbs as mementos and keepsakes. The entire community loved this sign, and everyone had a story relating to it. It looked as though the heart of the downtown had been removed. The sign was left in storage for 2 years, while the customer looked for funding for reconstruction. Trifecta Productions decided to get involved in funding the project. The owner of Trifecta, Joe Murphy, appreciates the history and beauty of old signs.
That Keith-Albee sign throughout the years has been really a beacon to let folks know that everything's all right. The way you could see that things were all right is when that Keith-Albee sign is lighting up Huntington, West Virginia again.
Joe's company put together a Save Our Sign campaign. The entire community donated and got behind the effort. The funds were raised at a concert held at the Keith-Albee, with local talent as well as some big names. When it came time to get started, we removed the sign from storage and moved it into our metal shop. When it reached our shop, it looked like a copper bag of rust. That's what's left of the frame of the sign. So there's a little bit of some of the sockets, but this is all the frame has fallen to the bottom of the sign here. We literally cut a hole in the bottom of this sign and poured the rust out. The copper was completely bent and distorted from the move, and some of the letters were crushed. We began the project by removing the skin with what was left of the frame. While removing the broken neon glass, we made a discovery. The neon was not original to the sign. The original letters were lit with 11-watt incandescent lamps, just like the chasing lights around the perimeter of the sign. When the neon was installed years ago, the letter backs were cut and damaged. The customer had requested that the sign be rebuilt as it originally looked. To recreate the original look, we CNC cut new copper backs with cutouts for the lamps. We then applied a copper patina to the letter backs using a chemical concoction that kick-started the patina process. This was our first experience applying a patina to copper. It was a learning experience with great results. We decided to rebuild the sign with a new steel frame. We've now built the frame, and we built a one-piece frame. It's got a tube, the center tube that runs the whole length is one piece. We cut holes in it to lighten it up, but this is the backbone of the whole sign. When finished with the frame, it was sprayed with Matthews epoxy primer to rust-proof it. The beautiful copper skin was removed and straightened. The original 850 lamps were replaced with LED lamps. The new lamps look like the originals, but decreased the power requirements and increased the reliability. It took nearly a mile of wire to connect all the sockets and lamps. All the internal connections and bulb threads were coated with dielectric grease, since we were building a sign that would last another 84 years. The sign was completely assembled in our shop and was now 39 feet long. Moving the sign to the location required a heavy equipment trailer, enclosing 4 lanes of traffic in front of the theater. Putting the sign in its location was a real challenge. So we got it stood up now, so we're ready to now mount it to the building. We're going to mount to the existing points that was already up there. So the sign, and we're going to tie the cables. It's all going to be mounted exactly like it was originally. All those points were still strong, so we think that's going to be strong enough for another 87 years. The power connection required a large wiring harness be pulled into the building and connected to the chasers. We didn't want any more connections than were necessary. The wires from each circuit were run all the way to the controller without any breaks. The installation was well choreographed and went very smoothly, only requiring about 5 hours. Our ability to test the sign was limited. The sign was to be veiled in secrecy in anticipation for the grand relighting event. Personally, I was a little nervous. I was afraid the sign wouldn't relight when the countdown reached 0.
6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ladies and gentlemen, stand once again. The Keith-Albee sign just like
Theater and marquee signs are rotting away in small towns all over our country. We have seen beautiful theaters fall to ruin and are lost forever. These signs are the finest examples of our craft, and I am proud to save the ones I can. I have seen firsthand how a community will rally to save these signs because they're an important part of our history.
It's exciting for us to be able to put the structure back up and something everybody could admire and maybe be around for another 90 years.